Hey guys, it's Mark. Welcome back to the Homestead. Today I'm going to be swapping out a line trimming head to a brush cutting head on this Honda GX-31 line trimmer. When you're doing this, it's important that it's a straight shaft line trimmer. You've probably seen those that have a curved shaft that you cannot use a brush cutting attachment on. It doesn't have the strength. So we'll get you in a little closer and show you how to do this. It literally takes like 5 minutes. So I'll show you what you need. So everything on the table is what we're gonna need to do this job. This is the invoice of all the things that I had to buy, from the blade that was $39.59 to the different washers that you can see here. And I did buy this nut, but it's actually the wrong one. So I made my own, but all of this is on this invoice. So to do this job properly, you would be expecting to pay upwards of $60. This is obviously the blade. Here's the part number. It is a still part number, 4112 713 4100. It is a universal blade. It will work on many different applications. Being that the nut didn't work and I made my own, I am going to be using thread lock, and these are the washers that will help keep that blade in place and centered. So in order to tighten up this nut that I actually salvaged from the old line trimmer, I'm going to be using this 12-point wrench, and it fits in there nicely. Your application might be different, but the setup will be very, very similar. So with that, I'll show you how to swap it out. To begin with, it does need to be upside down, and I'm placing the engine on this block. The reason that I do that is it lowers the head where I can work on it. I'll show you the other way. Without the block, it's way up there. I want to be able to work on it very comfortably. So I'm just gonna prop it up with that. So here is the line trimmer. This obviously has already been removed. In order to remove that, you are having to use anything here. This is an old screwdriver that I had cut the screwdriver part off, so it's just a straight shaft. On the back side of this head, there is a hole, and I'll take this washer off so you can see. But when I stick this in, you see that screwdriver right there? It's locking on the back side of this washer into these notches. So with this in place and this sticking up through there, you're probably gonna have to turn this until it gets into one of those notches. Right there, it just went into those notches. And then as soon as that's locked into place, you'll be able to undo this head assembly by turning it counterclockwise. That's important because we're going to need this to be in place when we go to tighten this blade in here. So with this in place, let's open up the blade. Here's the blade. It's a 1-inch arbor. It's a 10-inch blade. Hopefully this should work. So there you can see it fits in nicely. I'm gonna add this cupped washer. It's gonna fit onto those splines. And here we're gonna add this one. And the job of this one is just to keep grass and different debris from wrapping around the nut. You could probably get away without using it, but once you get your nut in place, grass is just gonna get all up in there. So this one helps protect that one. So we'll get that there. And then you will probably have an actual nut, and eventually, so will I. But in the meantime, I'm using this. Now, like I said earlier, I am gonna be using thread locker. So that should be enough there. Okay, let's get this guy in place. Now keep in mind, this is counterclockwise thread, so I'm actually turning it to the left to tighten it. So I'm gonna finger tighten this, and then once we go tightening it with the wrench, we're gonna have to use that screwdriver or whatever you have in your case to hold that one washer. Otherwise, the whole assembly will spin and you won't tighten anything. So here I'm putting that screwdriver in on the back side through that hole that I showed you earlier. I'm gonna rotate the blade until it, right there, until it locks into that notch on the back side of that washer. I'm gonna take this wrench and we're gonna tighten this baby up. Okay, there we go. Just like that. You have a brush cutting blade on. All right, so the blade is in place, it's tightened and ready to use. One of the things that I wanted to mention is why would I want to switch to this one and get away with the line? And for me, it really comes down to being frustrated with the line itself. When I would be using it, the line would heat up and it would stick to itself in here. So I would lubricate it while I was winding it with WD-40, and it just got to be such a hassle that I just wanted nothing to do with it. So I'm switching out to this blade that will handle grasses and then also blackberry vines. So a little bit tougher than this, and then just having to not worry about line anymore. Okay, so let's take it outside and see how that thing does. Come on. Okay, so this is our project. We need to be able to knock this down. This half of the field we put out to hay, but we did not bale this part just because it's so weeded. So this is why I got the blade. I want to be able to show you how it does in blackberries, grasses, and there's thistles in here, so it's just kind of a mess. So without further ado, let's start this thing. Safety glasses. Okay, do it again with safety glasses. Little bits of blackberries were coming back at me, so didn't really care to get a thorn in the eye. Here we go. Take two. Okay, well there you have it. So first impressions is this is gonna take a long time. It works and it cuts larger things, the blackberries and some saplings in there, and obviously the grass. But I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed just in that this is gonna take a long time. So depending on your application and what you're wanting to do, just be prepared. It might be an all-day project, but it does work, and it's nice to know that I will not have to worry about any more line binding up or not feeding or anything like that. So I guess it's kind of a give and take depending on what you're looking for in a blade. But all in all, I'm glad I did it. I think it will be nice. Just know that it's gonna take a while. Okay, so it's later in the day. I did get that all done. It took me about 1 hour. So roughly, I'm guessing that's 1/4 of an acre, something like that. Give or take, 1/4 of an acre. So about an hour to get that down. Got all cleaned up. I wanted to give you an update on using this new brush blade. I did learn a couple of things as I was using it, namely how to hold it. And I'll show you. So I started out with just cutting like this, and with as long as the grass was and the blackberries was, it was just getting loaded. It wasn't really cleaning itself out. So this whole shaft was just covered. I mean, it was falling over with the long grass and the berries. So what I ended up doing is tilting it on its side and using it more like this. And I was swiping it back and forth, so tilting the blade, and that actually allowed me to, as I'm cutting material, push it off to the left. Swipe back, push it off to the left. And I found that to be more effective and more efficient. So maybe using this blade is a little bit more of a learning curve than I expected. All in all, I'm happy I did it. I think it did a pretty good job. A lot of those blackberries were pretty established, so I mean, they were probably as thick as my thumb, maybe an inch in diameter, so it did great. So just wanted to share that with you. That's kind of an update behind all of the work, and hopefully you find this useful and can learn something from it. So thanks for watching.